So far, the 2020s have been a very confusing decade. 2020 was probably one of the weakest years for music in a long time. 2021 started picking it up a little bit. Wasn't super great, but had good moments. 2022 ended up having really great moments, and the rest of the music industry kind of just followed. And 2023, we're kind of like back down that peak. Now, it's not to say that there's like everything's bad or everything's mid, but I feel like the quality, the amount of projects that are coming out don't seem to reflect the type of quality that it was last year or even in the 2010s. But we're still early into the decade. We've only been 4 years in, 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023. So in no really particular order, except for a definitive number one, I'm gonna talk about my favorite albums this year. First one that comes to mind is Danny Brown's Quaranta, and I really love this album. Oh my god, first time I heard it, I was like going on a roller coaster of emotions. There's sober Danny, there's coked out Danny, and it's kind of like two people rapping on the same projects from different perspectives, but it's all the same person. It just goes to show that Danny Brown is very capable of making music even if he's sober, and I'm really glad he came to that conclusion. I really love the sober songs like Quaranta, Down With It, Celibate, Bass Jam, Hanami, like those are my favorites. I really prefer Danny Brown's sober stuff, and I hope he carries this on into the next part of his career. The second one that comes to mind is Lahai by Sampha. This guy has also been waiting to drop an album for a long time. He's been on a lot of features in between Process and his newest album, Lahai. He's been on, like The Life of Pablo with St. Pablo. He's been on Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers with Father Time. And his voice is very beautiful. He kind of reminds me of Frank Ocean, but he has a different demeanor to him. And I'm really glad he dropped Lahai because, wow, it is fantastic. I feel like Lahai is very beautiful, but mostly just the first half. I really love the first half a lot more than the second half because I feel like there's a lot of structure, a lot of connection, and I feel like most of the highs are in the first half. The second half is really good too, but I feel like they kind of all just blend together. The third album that comes to mind is Maps by Billy Woods and Kenny Siegel. Their newest collaboration project is fantastic. Oh my god. Like, Kenny Siegel and Billy Woods, they're very known for being like the underground kings of production and rap, and boy did they deliver. They've got really off-kilter sounds, they've got really good hooks, they've got really good rapping, really good imagery. There's a whole cohesive story in Maps, and I really love everything that Billy Woods is delivering. Billy Woods is also part of a group called Arm & Hammer, where it's him and Elucid, and they dropped Weed by Diabetic Test Strips. Same thing, non-stop banger after banger, really interesting sounds, really good rapping, and they really bring like this like gritty, dilapidated feeling into their art, and it's really good to see. It's kind of a hard listen, but the more you get into it, the more you're like, whoa, this shit is like, it hits hard, the sounds are really interesting, and I love the direction they're pushing music. This next one is also another like singing album, and it's by George Clanton. It's called Ooh I Rap Ya. So, man, this album, George Clanton has kind of been at his own peak when it comes to the genre of hypnagogic pop. This guy pretty much owns it. You have people like Lil Ugly Mane coming in, trying to like own it as well, trying to do their own things, drift away from rapping. George Clanton is really good at making you feel nostalgic, and it is just really wonderful to see. Very beautiful to listen to, and I really encourage you guys to check out the album. The next one is going to be the first really mainstream album, and it is Utopia by Travis Scott. I don't know what it is. The rollout was amazing. Everything that he was posting, all the updates, the 5 covers, I know it was just him trying to get more sales, but seriously, it was very well crafted, and it's a lot like Kanye West's My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy rollout, where he had multiple album covers. He came out of a really terrible controversy, and he ended up on top of the world. I really love the direction he picked with the album. I really hope to see other people being influenced by this album, and it's just really beautiful. My Eyes is one of the best songs I've ever heard, and yeah. So this year also, Griselda didn't really deliver on the best project they could have. I think Conway the Machine dropped an album that was kind of, it wasn't super great, which is really sad coming off of like a bunch of album runs. Like, Conway usually never misses, and I feel like this was a miss. Same with Westside Gunn. And Then You Pray For Me is a really epic album, and the rollout was fantastic, but I feel like the execution of a lot of songs wasn't the greatest. There are a lot of really good highlights, but because of that, I'm looking for someone else to kind of fill that role. And I think Skyzoo really, really delivered with The Mind of a Saint. It has all the sampling, it has all the rapping, it has all like the abstract, it has all the storytelling in the album, and it feels like Griselda, because he's worked with Griselda a lot, man. He's had like Luxury with West Side Gun, he's been on 50-inch Zenith, on Fly God. This dude embodies Griselda, and it's really great to see that someone close to Griselda has dropped a really fantastic project. And earlier this year, there was a really, really small artist. His name is McKinley Dixon. And boy, wow, he has made really, really beautiful music as well. He made this album called Beloved Paradise Jazz, and wow, it's really impressive. Like, he has like a whole like symphony and a whole orchestra and a whole band playing as he's rapping along. He's got like orchestrated drums and really good trumpets and like string. It's fantastic. Yeah, McKinley Dixon, killing it. Next one on my list is another singer. Her name is Mitski. She's been dropping really, really good bangers the past couple of years, but this year in particular, she dropped The Land is Inhospitable and So Are We. And yeah, no, this one's really, really great too. I'm sure everyone has already heard that song. Super, super like big song, and the rest of the album is fantastic. The way she adjusts volume, the way she sings, the way she portrays an entire atmosphere, I really, really enjoy what she does. Going along with that, I also really enjoyed Leve's newest project, Bewitched, and yeah, it's a fusion of a lot of things. It's not usually something that I would listen to, but you know, every year an album kind of creeps on. You know, you have like Lord's Melodrama, you've got like, you know, Bjork here and there, Phoebe Bridgers creeps in, Lana Del Rey creeps in, Taylor Swift even creeps in sometimes, and so Leve this year is kind of the equivalent of that. I really enjoy what she's done. She adds a lot of jazzy elements into her songs. It's very beautiful. There's a lot of very beautiful interludes. It sounds very full, a lot like Mitski's project, where everything is just so full, and like every time she wants there to be emptiness and space, it's able to rest as its own as well. A very beautiful album. I'll be listening to these a lot more. Man, as I'm making this video, I'm realizing there's so many other albums that I listened to this year that I really, really enjoyed. One of them was Burning Desire by Mike. Fantastic, probably his most accessible, probably his most diverse album. Dude's great, he's back. Navy Blue had Ways of Knowing, that was incredible too. I listened to it, I think one time, just like sitting against the wall. I remember how vivid it was when I first listened to it, and yeah, that was a while ago. And then there's also Javelin. Oh my god, Javelin by Sufjan Stevens, how could I forget? So freaking good, so freaking good. Really, really heart-wrenching, soul-felt. Like, I know this video is like already like 10ish minutes long, but like, oh my god, I have to include these albums. Aesop Rock also dropped another album, and like, now there have been a couple other albums that I've kind of been like neglecting. You know, for example, Earl Sweatshirt's Voir Dire and Scaring the Host, JPEG Mafia, Danny Brown. Personally, these are decent albums, but I feel like they're not as good as the ones that I've listed so far. And they're also not the best in each of their respective discographies. You know, I really, really enjoy Doris, I Don't Like Shit, I Don't Go Outside, some rap songs, like all of that from Earl Sweatshirt. But I don't really see that in Voir Dire. So it's very nice to see him working with The Alchemist, but not really an album that I would strongly say, hey, it belongs on this list. The same with Scaring the Host. I think they did something fun, you know, they worked together with really great synergy, but I feel like what the album was missing was a cohesive story, and I feel like Karanta does that a lot better, LP does that a lot better, Atrocity Exhibition, Veteran, All My Heroes Are Cornball, all of those albums do that a lot better than Scaring the Host. So it's nice to see them take a divergence from their normal stuff, but you know, I definitely prefer, you know, things like Koranta. And I guess, man, that's about 9 albums. So the best album definitively for me this year is Let's Start Here by Lil Yachty, and oh my god, I cannot tell you guys how much I love this album. From the intro to the last track, every song is very, very like thought out, put together, they transition into each other, and it's very, very good. I think maybe the only song that I don't like too much is Pretty, but everything else flows super beautifully. When you go from the Black Seminole into The Ride, like, it's such a beautiful, beautiful intro. And then it calms down, and then all of a sudden you're hit with that like really high note, and then it starts to ride with all the drums. So beautiful. I love Lil Yachty experimenting. I love Lil Yachty changing it up. I love Lil Yachty taking advantage of his singing in his autotune, because I feel like this is where his strengths lie. He's dropped a lot of other songs this year, like Strike Holster and Tesla, and these songs aren't really it. He's also dropped a song with like J. Cole and Drake. I don't really like what Lil Yachty's doing, man. And I know this album hasn't gotten like the best, amount of like viral potential, but it has gotten a lot of critical acclaim. And I think he should continue doing this because it's so beautiful. I don't want him to just do this thing, be like a one-trick pony and just only do freaking rap for the rest of his career after changing it up and then seeing like, oh yeah, it's actually not doing so well. I think he should be more creative and pursue this because it is such a great album. Can't stop talking about it enough. I've listened to this album so much this year. I think I've listened to it about 1,000 times, not the whole thing through, but I have 1,000 Scrabbles on this album, and it is mind-blowing. When the zone transitions into We Saw the Sun, fantastic. I can't talk about it enough. And then like Paint the Sky, What Should I Be, The Alchemist, oh my god, every single song. It's really hard. I guess it's like difficult to get into it because people don't like Lil Yachty singing, they don't like the auto-tune, they don't like the waviness of the song, they don't like how, it's not his authentic voice, they don't like how he kind of sounds froggy, but I don't know, I think it really complements every other sound, and he's gotten really good at singing. His We Saw the Sun live on Jimmy Kimmel is one of the most beautiful performances I've seen. I got the luxury of seeing him live. Oh my god, let me just tell you, like, the songwriting, the sounds, the influences, the genre change, taking advantage of what he can do. I really, really love Let's Start Here. And I hope it's actually the start of something and he can continue to make these albums because I really don't want him to stop. And I really want to see the influence and the creative capabilities of Lil Yachty on display. I really, really love what he's doing and I hope he keeps it up. So yeah, this year, freaking Koranta, Lahai, Maps, We Sell Diabetic Test Strips, Uai Rapia, The Land is Inhospitable and So Are We, The Mind of a Saint, Bewitched, Paradise Love Jazz, and Let's Start Here is probably, some of the best albums I've heard this year. They're all very fantastic. I really love them all to death. And I'm hoping 2024 delivers something even more beautiful. So yeah, we've got Cardi to look forward to, maybe Frank Ocean, maybe Kanye, maybe Tyler the Creator, maybe Kendrick Lamar, maybe Baby Keem, all in the air, really happy. So yeah, thanks for making it to the end of the video, and I hope you agree. If you have an album that you really enjoy too, drop it down in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.